Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cheez It 355 at the Glen race review, where I recap what went on before the race, during the race, and after the race, looking ahead to the upcoming race. So, overall thoughts on this race? Wild. Certainly action-packed. A race that is definitely not going to be forgotten for a while. It definitely had a lot from long group hug runs to so many different strategies. A lot of speeding, a lot of not just speeding penalties, but a lot of pit road penalties, especially from some big names. It had tempers at the end. There were 2 red flags, a couple of big pileups, chase implications. Not exactly. Maybe not exactly as huge as chase implications as some were predicting entering this race, obviously because it is a road course. It gives someone an opportunity for someone like Allmendinger to win and shake up the chase grid, but that didn't really happen because the winner was Denny Hamlin. He finally wins on a road course. And also the laps he led today at Watkins Glen, the first laps he ever led at the track as well. So, and he had a winning car at Sonoma, but choked on the final lap in the final corner and lost the lead there. So Denny Hamlin is suddenly becoming a very good road course racer. Also, here's an interesting fact. Last year, Joe Logano won the Daytona 500 and went winless all the way up until Watkins Glen. This year, Denny Hamlin wins the Daytona 500 and goes winless all the way up until Watkins Glen. So that's an interesting fact that they may not had realized. And I certainly do not have a problem with Denny Hamlin winning. I just recently said about how he choked in the hairpin on the final lap. Well, a couple restarts before the last one, he actually took advantage of 2 drivers making mistakes, entering turn 1 on the restart. Both of those drivers were Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch, and that's how Denny Hamlin made the pass for the win. But anyway, now let's get into the pre-race stuff. Leading up to this race, I wouldn't say that there were a lot of stories, but any story that I wrote down, it was a pretty big story in my opinion. And I think the first one that I wrote down was Jeff Gordon. He was back in the 88 car for this race and will be in the 88 car at Bristol, which is 2 weekends away from now, filling in for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is still recovering from concussion-like symptoms. When I first heard the news that Dale Earnhardt Jr. would have to sit out, I didn't think that it would take this long. I thought it would have just been, New Hampshire and Indianapolis, but I guess either the concussion like symptoms are worse than I thought, or Dale Earnhardt Jr. is just simply taking extra time to recover. But whatever the reason it is for why he's out so long, I wish for the best. Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually had a press conference on Friday saying that he does plan on getting back. He does plan on returning to racing, and retirement is not in his near future. His current contract lasts until 2017, and I guess him and Rick Hendrick have talked about a contract extension. But it'll be interesting to see if maybe he changes his mind. It'll be interesting. And also with Jeff Gordon in the car for this week, he made his 800th career start, something that I think only 8 other drivers had done before. So Jeff Gordon continues to add to his legacy. I think the other big news story was, I think it was on Friday, Martin Truex Jr. announced a contract extension, or maybe it wasn't last Friday, maybe it was Thursday, I'm not exactly sure. He signed a contract extension, and it was leaked later in the day on Friday, but it was confirmed officially by the team on Sunday morning that they are going to Furniture Racing is going to open a second team, and Eric Jones will be the driver. He will drive the number 77 car. 5-Hour Energy is going to be his primary sponsor, and it's just a 1-year deal. But our car owner Ryan Visor hopes that he can it can go longer than that. They're also looking into a charter for Eric Jones. Even if Eric Jones doesn't get a charter, I still think there won't be a whole lot to worry about, because Eric Jones is talented enough, and the equipment I think is good enough to where I don't think they're going to have to worry about like premium motorsports and some of the more lower opponent teams. Now, as far as whether Eric Jones is ready or not, I think he's ready. He certainly, I think, has earned this ride. You know, when you look at his stats in the World 2 Series, multi-winner in the Xfinity Series, Truck Series champion last year, I think he certainly has earned a Cup ride. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if Eric Jones is a contender for wins in the Cup Series next year. And now on to more minor facts. Because of NBC covering the Olympics, this sprint race got moved to USA Network, and this is the first time that this network hosted a NASCAR race since back in 1984, when it hosted or when it covered. No, when it covered. It broadcasted the twin dual races that year. And also the last noteworthy news story, Watkins Glen announced its second consecutive sellout a couple hours before it started. And so great news for this track and for NASCAR, especially since sellouts are so rare these days. And I think it's just proof that, you know, if the racing is really good, people will show up. The biggest gripe for me in the race was some of the unnecessary / stupid cautions that came out. For example, what you're looking at right here, this is an loose wheel on pit road, and this happened about midway through the race, and it brought out caution. The reason why I think this was unnecessary and stupid was because Watkins Glen has a pit wall, so the tire is not going to go out onto the racing surface, and really all you really need to do is just get a pit road official or crew member to just go out there and pick it up. Heck, it's even in the white pit stalls, so they don't have to go far. For this to bring out a full course caution is ridiculous. And what made me get more upset was how, after this caution came out, we had a restart, and then we had a multi-car wreck that took out Jimmy Johnson, Austin Dillon, Greg Biffle, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and then the restart after that, we didn't even get in a full without having another multi-car wreck in the middle of the carousel, taking out Carl Edwards, Cliff Boyer, David Reagan, and these two pileups would likely had ever happened if it weren't for that stupid unnecessary caution. Another example of an unnecessary caution that happened later in the race was this one right here. So this came on a restart with 10 laps to go, and in the back you're going to see Ryan Newman here spin right in front of the field. Amazingly, no one hits him. Matt DiMatteo got spun checking out from American Rolla. Neither cars hit anything, or other cars didn't hit the other drivers, and yet that brought out caution. It really makes me wish that NASCAR adopted, you know, like local yellows, like many other racing series do, because it would just kind of because there are moments where full course cautions don't need to happen, and instead we can use local yellows. I wish NASCAR would do that, but I don't really think they really ever used it. But I can dream. Right, you know, it's just kind of moments like this I just get irritating, especially when they happen more than once in the race. It was a thrilling 3-car battle in the final few laps of the race between Denny Hamlin, Mark Truex Jr., and Brad Keselowski. And coming off of the final core, the 78-2, make contact, Truex goes around, Denny Hamlin goes on and wins. But as you probably can guess, Martin Truex Jr. was not happy, and he just expressed his frustration to Brad Keselowski on the cool-down lap. Both cars getting even more damage. Brad Keselowski finished third. Mark Truex Jr. still got a good finish. He finished like 8th. But as you can tell, but as you can probably see by now, he was not happy. And I'm happy too, because I would feel like that I was done wrong by Brad Keselowski and had my chance of a win taken away. But Brad Keselowski was a class act. I appreciate his honesty and admitting that, you know, it was his fault. And if you don't understand why some people are saying the road courses are the new short tracks, well, here's one of the many reasons why. If you go back and watch the replay of the final few courses of the race, you will notice that Kyle Larson and AJ Allmendinger were battling for the fourth position. Shortly after Martin Truex Jr. spun, Kyle Larson got spun off of the back bumper of AJ Allmendinger, who was trying to pass him, and I think Larson also was checking up a little bit for Martin Truex Jr. To avoid not hitting him, and Allmendinger didn't. When they chose to ride on board with Allmendinger, he didn't really lift. So Larson spun off the back of Allmendinger in the final corner, went head on into the inside guardrail, and his car was torn up. He couldn't finish the race. He would finish. Where did he finish? Okay, I'm checking this out very quickly. Kyle Larson would finish 29th when that could have been a third. When that could have been a third place finish. And this is huge for Kyle Larson because he's one of the Chase bubble drivers. He does not have a win. He's still in the chase right now, but in the previous race at Pocono, Chris Buescher won that race and is just out to the top 3 in points. Because there is a good chance that he will get himself into the top 3 in points because he's only a few points out of it. That will knock Larson out. So Larson does not need this bad fish at all. And as you can see here, he was not happy with it, and it's basically saying that Allmendinger better watch his back in the next few races. And what happens to be the next race, the next track we're going to? Bristol, a short track, a great place for retaliation. I don't know if Larson will retaliate, and I don't think retaliation is the smartest thing to do, especially since Larson is still inside the chase for now. But we'll just have to see. AJ Allmendinger, just like Brett Keselowski did to Martin Truex Jr., did apologize and took responsibility for that wreck. Between last year's race and this year's race, Watkins Glen got repaved. No banking changes or turn changes. It just got a new surface. And it was the first time I believe it had been repaved since I think 1998. And the new surface, well, the racing didn't really seem to change. It was still pretty much the same racing that we saw last year and the year before that and the year before that, etc. So that didn't really change. But I think Goodyear bringing in a hard tire because that's what you have to do when you go to a track that has a brand new surface. I think it did affect some of the strategies today. Like for example, you could take 2 tires and that wouldn't really hurt you. I think it also prevented some possibly faster cars from getting back to the front because, of course, new tires just don't really mean a whole lot. And so I think Watkins Glen will become better in the future. But overall, the racing, in my opinion, was still just like we saw before. And the racing, and really, when I think about the racing wasn't always as good. And I think, and I wish that in terms of quality, the racing was a little bit better. But I think that it was fine. Let's take a look at the point standings, but more importantly, the chase grid. If you look at the point standings, for the first time since I think Richmond or Talladega, we have a new points leader, and that's Brad Keselowski. But that really does not mean anything under the new chase format, unfortunately. So let's look at the chase grid. So if the regular season were to end right now, those are the 16 drivers that would make the chase. But I'm certain that this is going to change because I have a feeling that Chris Buescher will likely make the top 30 points. It was said after his win at Pocono that Roush and Ford are going to give that team more support. And so I have a feeling that Chris Buescher will make the chase unless he has bad luck. If he doesn't have bad luck, though, then I think we're looking at a battle between Larson, Trevor Bayne, Casey Kane, Ryan Blaney for the final spot. I think everyone from about Austin Dillon and up is pretty safe. Even Jamie McMurray has a good cushion, but of course that could change. But that could also change. If we have another surprise winner between now and Chicago and the chase opener. So overall, I think it's going to be a very interesting battle and definitely one to look out for in the upcoming races. So let's wrap things up. So Watkins Glen 2016 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Eventful, wild, definitely will not be forgotten for a while. There definitely will be quite a bit to talk about between now and Bristol, which now moves me into the follow-up part, Bristol Motor Speedway. We have an off week this weekend, but if you want to watch some NASCAR, the Xfinity Series is racing at Mid-Ohio. It's a standalone event, and I think that race has the potential to be good. But after that, Thunder Valley, it's Bristol, baby, and Bristol. I still wish that it was the old Bristol, but it actually leads me into something we're talking about. Maybe you've heard about this, maybe you haven't, but I did actually read an article on motorsports.com saying that they're actually making some slight changes to Bristol Motor Speedway to actually make the bottom a better racing lane. So I don't know if the race in 2 Saturdays from now is going to be like the days of 2007 and before, but I do think that if these changes become a success, we could be looking at a pretty good Bristol race where both the bottom and the top work well, or maybe everyone will start riding the bottom again. We'll just have to see. Carl Edwards dominated the race in April, leading. I think he led like over 300 laps or close to that. So I think that he'll definitely be a favorite to sweep. But of course, I also expect. I have a feeling that Bristol is going to be a JGR weekend, because I have a feeling that Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, who've all won at Bristol before in the Cup Series, I think they're also going to be strong. But also in April, we saw underdogs like Matt DiBenedetto, Trevor Bayne at the time, even Leon Castle led laps. So I think that Bristol could be a good race, or we see underdogs maybe not win, but run up front and finish well. I seriously think that could happen. And as far as the pick to win, well, I think that so I am picking a Joe Gibbs racing car, and the Joe Gibbs racing car I think is going to be. Do you know what? I actually have a good feeling about Denny Hamlin. I haven't really picked him very much this season or at all, but you know what? I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin. I think he'll go back to back. First win at the Glen like he did today, and is going to win his second race at Bristol. He did that back in August of 2012. So that's my pick to win, and hopefully it's a good race. So I hope you enjoy watching this. Hopefully, because NASCAR, or at least the Sprint Cup Series, is having an off weekend, I can hopefully put up other videos that haven't really been posted this year. Hopefully I could do something like that again. But I hope you enjoy watching this video. I hope you enjoy reading the recap. They'll probably be out later in the week. And be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.